It's a career.
It's a career, yeah.
You're a professional fitnesser. That's what you are.
I need to change my Instagram profile to reflect I'm a powerlifter. All right, welcome. This is season 2, mostly lifting stuff. Joined with Noah Francis. We're going to talk about, we got a couple changes coming to the show.
Exciting changes.
Big changes coming along. As you can see, we actually have video now. That was something that many people gave me a hard time about because my production value was like absolutely zero for this.
Yeah, we're trying to take season 1 to season 2, make it a little bit more professional, make it a little bit more user and listener friendly, and now watcher friendly. So if you're listening to us on Spotify for the rest of the season, you can go to our YouTube, which is the same, mostly lifting stuff. You can watch different segments on YouTube or full interviews with our guests that we'll be having with each episode.
So yeah, that way if you maybe don't have the time to watch a full episode, you could just watch a clip about something that catches your eye or, something you find interesting. So also, we have Noah here. Austin is finishing up nursing school right now. His schedule is crazy, so he's taking a step aside from this, and Noah's filling in.
Yeah, we're sad to see Austin go, but I'm excited to be here at the same time. So as soon as Austin's schedule runs down or gets easier, hopefully we'll have him back, and we'll kind of figure out how to fit 3 people at this table.
Yeah,
so
we'll make it work.
It's going to be fun.
So in addition to having now video and a different format, we're going to also do some weekly segments. Noah kind of had this idea, and we're going to try it out today a little bit, see how it works. If we get a lot of people that say they hate it, then we'll probably keep doing it. No, we'll find a way to make it better.
There's definitely going to be segments that you guys are going to be like, that was dumb. But that's why we want to have you guys interact with us. So we're going to be more interactive on social media coming up. Hit us up, DM us, slide right in there. We're also going to be asking you guys to ask us some questions, have some Q&As coming up in this season, things that you want to hear, not just from us, but maybe some of our guests that we have on. And with that, not just with weekly segments, like the key word is weekly, we are having weekly releases of episodes. Right. So every Sunday night, be on the lookout, because each week we're releasing a new episode of mostly lifting stuff. So it's not just going to be sporadic anymore. You can count on us for if you want to stay up till midnight on Sunday and just kick off your week with getting no sleep before work on Monday morning. Or if you have a long drive in on Monday, or if you just want to listen to us on a Thursday, it's there. It's there for you. So make sure you look for us every week.
Yeah, we're going to be getting ahead of it a little bit. So as of next week, we'll have a great episode. We already recorded with Emily Cronizer. We're going to post. That'll be the last episode we have without video. And then from there on out, we should have video for all of them. So be on the lookout for that, and it'll be good.
Yeah, that episode is honestly like an incredible interview. I was really excited about having her on, but also the things that she shared. I think you guys are going to find a lot of good, valuable stuff about her personal training and how she got into that. But also, it was just a fun podcast. Like, we just shot the shit, and we laughed a little bit, and it was a great time. So you guys would love it. So be on the lookout for that next week. And this week, it's going to be a little bit shorter, but we're just going to introduce like 1 or 2 segments this week, and then we're going to talk about Garrett's big meet that he had just a couple weeks ago. So I'm really amped just to kind of see how Garrett feels. He did, because I was there. I watched him. I was super proud of him. But I don't know how he feels.
Yeah, I got to do a little recap, reflect on it a little bit. Definitely have some things I would have done differently, but live and learn. So it was only my first one, so we'll try to do better at the next one. So
there you go. All right, so to start off the episode, let's just do a little shout out Sunday. And this week's Sunday is the Sunday directly after 4th of July and 4th of July weekend. So I'm sure all of you guys had fun. All you guys had a safe weekend, but also a heavy drinking weekend, I'm assuming. I know I did. Garrett, what about you? What did you do this weekend?
Definitely had some drinking. I haven't drank in a while, so it was good to kick back a little bit. And, meat prep, I was pretty serious about not getting anything like that and eating really well. So it was good to have some time to cut loose a little bit.
When you say cut loose, what's your drink of choice this weekend?
Mainly beer, honestly, and then had some margaritas. So that was just kind of not anything crazy. Just
mixing the beer and the marg.
Different nights though, so it was all good.
Okay, I was gonna say it sounds like a rough morning you were having the next day. For me, I honestly I just stuck with the Skinny Girl drinks this weekend. Just can't get away from that vodka, water, vodka. Put a little Crystal Light in that thing. Watch those macros.
If you got to do it, I mean, there's obviously ways to get the most out of it. Like Noah, being that he's cutting or was cutting.
I'm not.
So he's pretty conscious of his calories though. So he was more on the side of letting himself drink, but not letting it screw up the progress that he's made. So
I'm just on the side of balance. Like it's the same thing. If with like when I eat, I'm not just gonna pig out on just like random stuff that are like super high in calories. Like I'd rather have a little like lighter calorie option or have a substitute and keep that in my daily life. So when I go out and drink, it's the same thing. I just try to balance instead of having like really heavy beers and having 5-6 drinks of really heavy caloric dense beers. I like vodka and I like the mixed drinks, and so I'll just go like a vodka and a white Monster. So
okay,
and then not sleep for like 2 days, but whatever.
Yeah, so like if you do something like that, people might give you a hard time that it maybe is a girly drink, but in the end, you'll be more jacked than them. So
exactly. If you're coming up to me and saying, "Hey, that's a girly drink," I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm okay with completely content with like my masculinity. So,
well, that's good. So
yeah, just last night I went to the UFC fights. Not the actual fights, but I went and watched them out at a bar with some friends, and they all got beers. And I asked the waitress, like, just give me whatever like your favorite drink is on the list. Everyone gave me the biggest shit for it because she came back with this like very pink margarita. And I was loving life, honestly. She just knew me so well. I'm a marg boy as well. Like I like tequila, and it was a great time. Drinking a fruity drink and watching men punch each other in the faces. Like
that is a good time.
Not a bad evening.
And I mean, you definitely, if you're looking to impress the ladies, asking the waitress what her favorite is always a good way to go.
Yeah. Get in the mind of the beholder.
So that's a segment we're going to do every week. Shout out Sundays, is that what we're going to call it?
I don't know. I feel like that's a good name. It can be, later on we'll be shooting out, like shouting out, like different Instagrammers or programs that we really enjoy, but also kind of other weeks keep it a little bit looser like this week. It's a 4th of July weekend, so hashtag America, I guess.
Yeah.
What's more America than drinking 3-4 days straight and watching UFC fights. So that's what we decided on this week.
You throw some fireworks in there, and you basically it's just.
I didn't even go to fireworks this weekend. Did you?
Well, you don't have to go to them. Everybody has them now. So.
Oh. I didn't mess with any this week.
I don't mess with them. I don't touch them.
Honestly, I'm not trying to get my hand blown off. So.
Yeah, we're not about that either. So.
Yeah, got to get the reps in the next day. Like, what happens then? You burn your hand. Oh, can't bench for 3 months now.
Yeah,
that's a bad mix-up right there.
Yeah, especially, I mean, for me, I'm trying out, like, they call it the bulldog grip. So instead of, like, wrapping your hand around the bar like this, it's more like this, and you're pushing on the bar with your fingertips. So no fingers, no bulldog grip.
No bulldog grip.
Supposed to engage the CNS better, so.
Okay, I was going to say, I don't know what the reasoning behind you switching your grips is.
You can squeeze it more. You're always supposed to squeeze the bar.
The squeeze. See, I get the squeeze in the actual muscle group when I work out, called hypertrophy, So you get that pump rather than just, like, burn your whole body out in 4 lifts and you're done for the day.
Yeah, so Noah came and lifted with me, what was it, last Thursday? 4th of July.
Yeah, on 4th of July.
On the 4th. And
we got wild.
Yeah, it was a good time. He burns out on the strength stuff pretty quick, though.
Yeah, okay, it didn't help that I hit shoulder and tricep the day before on a night lift. And then we come in the morning of, less than 12 hours later, and we're doing, like, strongman freaking chest workout. And, yeah, I didn't do too hot.
But, I mean, that just shows the importance of, your rest is different depending on what your program is going to be. So I don't think I lifted the day before.
Yeah, you had a rest day.
No, I had an intense shoulder day, so It reflected. So
yeah, but you know what? We don't lift with our ego over here at Mostly Lifting Stuff. We just go in and we perform our best. I mean, I felt like a little bitch, but whatever.
That's all right. Nobody at RPG was making fun of you.
And he said that in a weird way. Like, I feel like someone at RPG was making fun of me now.
No, nobody was. The thing is, that's funny is like RPG is like it's like the anti-Planet Fitness gym, right? But nobody is like negative towards anybody there. Like, I'd never feel like there's anybody like being judgmental. Where like if you're at like a Planet Fitness, I feel like that's kind of more judgmental than a place like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really enjoyed it. It is, for those of you listening, RPG is a Rochester Performance Gym. So obviously it's in Rochester. It's primarily a powerlifting gym.
Yeah.
But you also have people that compete in bodybuilding that work out there. So it was my first time there. It was a really cool vibe. I just loved that Garrett, during one of his sets, like he just went over to the stereo system and just cranked it all the way up, and I was like, okay, I can vibe to this because I'm used to working out at OU, and they play like Lizzie McGuire like very softly in the background.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe, and that's kind of where. So once I started prepping for my meet, I started going there for like the 6 weeks before my meet, and really was able to kind of just sponge knowledge off people. There's so many strong people walking around. And that's one of like the most important things if you're getting into like a strength sport or any sort of sport that involves fitness, is get around people that know more than you. It's so beneficial to have people to just ask questions and get solid answers. You can learn so much, and you won't get stuck on things forever. I mean, I recently had one of the coaches there look at a deadlift video, and within 3 seconds he told me what I was doing wrong, and now my training feels better than ever. And
within 3 seconds.
Yeah.
With your setup, he found something wrong.
Yeah. So honestly, just something like that where I would have been training something entirely different trying to fix it, but they take a quick look at it and it's diagnosed. Makes such a big difference.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of like what we want to turn season 2 into as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I didn't use the same word right behind each other. Whatever. We're here for it. But like that's what we want with our guests that we're having on this season. We want to broaden out, not just from like we still want to have people at OU that we meet and that we're friends with that are very well versed in their own niche within lifting. But also like we're gonna be having some professional athletes on the show. We're super excited about. We're having personal trainers, people who are out there in the fitness industry that aren't necessarily the people you'll find at an OU gym, which I think is awesome because we're getting a broader spectrum of like professionals and people who are super like intelligent that we can like really just be sponges about, and we can ask the questions you guys would want to ask them, but you may not have access to them. So that's the point of this podcast, is that we really just want to be the layman. Like, look at us. I mean, Garrett's the only one that's done actually anything in the fitness world. He's actually competed, and I'm just like the guy that just shows up and is like, I'm gonna do some cardio, I guess.
Overcoming a broken back is no small feat either, so we'll give Noah a little bit of credit.
Just a little bit.
But another thing we can do, with the fact that we're going to be scheduling our podcast out in advance, we can also kind of let you guys know ahead of time who's going to be on, through our Instagram page. And then you guys can even send us questions. So if you have a question you want to ask, whoever it is, just let us know, send it to us, and then that'll be even more material for us to do. So
yeah, we really want to grow this podcast, and so that's the point of adding a higher production value to the show, to your experience as the listener, and we want you guys to be a part of it. So always feel free to reach out with that. Like if you're listening to this right now on Spotify or iTunes, give us a follow, give us a review. That would do so much for our podcast. And if you're on YouTube, hit that like button and subscribe. You know how I always say at the end of those videos, we're just trying to make it over here, one step at a time. Yeah. You guys are a big part of that.
Yeah, and just being interactive with whoever is listening is going to help us tailor it more to what the general public wants. Because, when it comes to asking people questions, like we know what we want to get out of them, but we don't know necessarily what everyone would like to hear from them. So having the chance to get those ideas from you guys will help us reach a broader audience, and that's ultimately what we want to do. So
Yeah, and like with that, we were just talking about RPG and how Garrett is the only actual professional fitness person in this room right now. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
I was so impressed, man. Congratulations on your first meet.
Thank you.
He won his junior class, but why don't you give everybody, all the listeners, a little bit a background on what you did, why you did it, and how you did.
Yeah, so I competed. It was a USAPL sanctioned meet hosted at RPG. It was called the RPG Barbellum. So that's the company that puts it on. I actually have their shirt on today, Barbellum. So
Represent.
they come in and they sponsor the meet through the federation, which is USAPL. Just kind of chose that arbitrarily. There wasn't any particular reason I went with USAPL, besides that they were having a meet at the time where I was looking to compete. You know, I wanted to get done. I just graduated in end of April. And I wanted to do a meet after I graduated, and this one seemed about perfect. It was scheduled for June 22nd. So I signed up, and I went and joined RPG. And I had about 6 weeks of prep. And I was doing a program by Ben Pollock, PH Deadlift on Instagram. He's a really smart guy. He used to be more into powerlifting. Now he's kind of touring the bodybuilding world, but still,
sounds like a good guy, in my opinion.
Still just an absolute monster. He's got world records for total, has some amazing lifts, understands, you know, how functionally everything works. So he's not going to give you a cookie cutter solution because he knows that everyone has different needs.
Yeah. So what were the competition, like what were you doing? Like what lifts did you do in this competition?
Right. So it was a full power meet, which means you have squat, bench, and deadlift. So that's the order you do them in. And they split you up into flights. So I was in flight G. They had 2 platforms going at once. So basically each flight would do all of their attempts for one lift. You get 3 attempts. So squat was first. So my first attempt squat, I went with 510. They say generally first attempt is something you want to hit, that you could hit for a triple on a given day. So I felt confident going in that would move well.
Yeah, 510, easy money.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
And so that moved just as I hoped. And then I made the jump to 545, which also went pretty smoothly. And then finally for squat, I went 3 for 3. I hit 568 for the last one. So
that is so crazy, dude.
And that was
so much weight.
About all I had in the tank. So that was like a PR. I had never, prior to that day, I had never gone above 520 in sleeves in my training. So I've done 565 in wraps. But
now, do you think that was because of a combination of the 6-week program you did, of that Ben Pollock's program, and you were just like, that peak week like hit you on the right day, that you're just the strongest you've ever been on that given day of competition? Or was it the environment of the competition that really like gave you more adrenaline?
Honestly, I think that I had been kind of like honing in on my cues, and I felt like I was in a good place where I was peaked physically at that point. Like I don't think I could hit 565 right now.
Right.
But I felt like my cues were solid. My training had been going really well. I had like a lot of confidence going in. Honestly, the environment at the meet, I feel like it didn't have that much effect on me. Because honestly, once I was under the bar, really like kind of blacked out. Like as far as like not hearing anybody yelling, not like, you know, seeing anybody in the audience doing whatever. Like I was just kind of like just me in the bar and paying attention to the judge. You know, because they give the commands, they tell you when to go down, they tell you when to rack, stuff like that. So I was just like zeroed in on him and just trying to cue as hard as I could for my breathing and everything else. And
as a spectator, I was so surprised with how many guys that were within this show, within this competition, that they've been prepping. They knew this was coming. There are obvious, very clear rules and regulations and strict cues you have to follow. And they just went up there and just said, kind of like, fuck it. And they didn't follow any cues. They missed their lifts. They didn't get a score because all 3 times they would do something wrong. That is quite simply a mental mistake.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of other rookie lifters there. And I think, like, I don't know, I'm a big preparation guy. So prior to the meet, if you went on my phone, I probably have the IPF rulebook downloaded like 20 times or something stupid just because I kept like, oh, I wonder what this is, and I would go look it up. And so I had researched the cues. I had researched all the equipment requirements, everything else. Like, I kind of knew going in day of exactly what to expect. So I felt like totally confident in that. I mean, like Steve, the guy that owns RPG, he had been like looking at some of my lifts. He's just like telling me like, yeah, your depth's good. Like, just kind of giving me that confidence to know that like what I was doing was putting me on the right path. So squat went really well. And then we moved on to bench.
Right.
Bench went pretty well. Went 309 for the opener, no problem. I jumped to 330, which was a number I hit in training for a couple singles that moved really well. And so at the meet, it also moved extremely well.
It went so fast.
Yeah, 330 went really well. And so in my planning for the meet, I had like a sheet of paper, and it had all my attempts listed. And so depending on if I had a good second attempt, great second attempt, or bad second attempt, I kind of had an option how much I was going to jump. So 330 went really well, and I made the jump to 345. Hindsight, I probably, after how strenuous squat was, I probably could have I should have went with 340.
Right.
But I failed 345. I got about halfway up, and I pretty much hit a wall. So not overly like too bad though. The most I've done in my life was 335, so I was right around there. And doing it with the commands is a lot different. A lot of people see people do numbers in like meets, and they're like, oh well, I do this in the gym all the time. But for the bench press, especially in the USPL, your head's got to be flat on the bench, your shoulders got to be flat on the bench, your ass has got to be on the bench, and your heels have to be flat on the floor.
And there's a long pause at the bottom.
There's a long pause at the bottom. So when you bring the weight down, it has to come to your chest and it has to stop. And then they wait a second, and then you get the press command. So it definitely makes a difference as to how much weight you can do. Your time under tension is a lot longer than if you're just unracking it. Like, you see a lot of guys in the gym, they're bouncing it off their chest. If the bar comes down to your chest and it keeps moving down, they're never going to give you the press command until you're flat. And then once the bar actually stops for a second, then they'll give it to you. So it's a lot different than how most people bench normally.
So was it different than when you did hit 335 before?
Yeah, because that was probably 6 or 8 months ago. Right. So I was not like in competition prep mode. But like during my prep, I would have people at RPG spot me, and I'd say, hey, can you give commands? So they would kind of mock the commands that I would be getting at the meet, and I was ready for that part of it. Basically on bench press, you don't move the bar unless I tell you to.
Right. So you have a huge PR in squat. You hit what your existing PR was, and you attempted a new PR. Didn't quite get it, but that was obviously with all the effects that we just talked about. And moving on to deadlift, how did that go?
So I could tell right away in the warm-up room the deadlift wasn't going to be great, and I had my opener at 573, which moved like decently well, and I fixed some errors in my form since then, because I kept getting, a lot of times when I'd fail a rep, it was because I'd get hung up on my legs. Once my hands would hit my legs, because I deadlift sumo, once I would hit my legs, I would basically just stall out on that friction.
Talking about your inner quad?
Yeah.
On your way up?
Yep. So as soon as I'd hit the inner quad, it would just be like a brick wall. So I kind of knew that in my training, but I wasn't smart enough to ask for help, which I think definitely would have contributed to me having a better total. So I basically had an error in my technique. I'd kind of trained through it, not really noticing it. I didn't ask for help, which would have made a difference. But I got through warm-ups, and we were kind of rushed. We actually had a really small flight, so we only had 5 people doing the deadlift in our flight. So if you imagine, like, that's the gap you have between attempts is how many people you have, and they each get a minute with the added time for loading and unloading, but not everybody takes their whole minute. So we were like 5 minutes between attempts on deadlifts, which was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Typically, you want 8 to 10 at least, just to give yourself a chance to calm down. Like, my heart was still beating fast. Like, I was still sweating from the previous attempt, breathing heavy, all that good stuff. So definitely was a little bit suboptimal, but I hit 573 with my opener, and I really had my eye on a 1500 total. So I made a jump to 610, which would have given me a little bit over 600 for my total, and or 1,500 for my total. And I made it about 90% of the way up. Got hung up on my legs.
Oh, damn.
Just about where I knew the failing point would be, and that was it. The third attempt, I was with the same weight, and it came about an inch off the floor. So definitely have made some changes since then. But overall, I was pretty happy with the meet.
Yeah. So that's So with the deadlift, that kind of really sucks with kind of the rules of when you go and do a powerlifting meet. If you attempt a certain weight, like you can't go down back to a different weight on your next attempt. Like that's like the minimum you have to do for your next attempt. So if you can't hit that weight at all,
right? So
it kind of sucks.
Yeah, hindsight is obviously always 20/20. So in retrospect, I would have hit 340 on bench, which I think I had, and then I would have had 10 pounds more, and then I maybe only would have need a 20-pound jump for deadlift, so I could have jumped to like 590, and I think I could have gotten that.
Right.
Because I mean, if 610 was that close, I think I had 590. So, maybe be a little bit more conservative on bench, but hit the third attempt, and then take a more conservative second deadlift, and then from there I could have seen if I wanted to take another attempt. But
So what was your overall number at the end of the day, and then where did you place within because you were in 2 different classes?
Right. So I was in the 105 kilogram class, but I was also, so that was like the open division, but I was also a junior in that class. So there was not any other juniors within that class, so obviously I took first as a junior in that class.
You're not supposed to tell them that.
Well,
You're
yeah.
supposed to say you got first. What are you doing?
So I took second in the open. There's a lifter named Jordan Bywater who was impressive.
Yo, that dude was crazy strong.
Yeah, he had a 600-pound squat, which was nuts. Because I always kind of figure like squat's one of my best lifts, and that was really like where I made up ground. But there was none of that was happening. So
it's absolutely just mind-boggling.
Yeah, he's a heck of a lifter. He was actually doing that as a tune-up for nationals. So he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, that's a good person to come in second too.
Yeah, so it was actually pretty cool though, because I met him. I knew who he was. I'd seen the list of competitors, and I'd kind of looked people up, and I knew what to expect from him kind of coming in. So I met him in the parking lot before the meet, and then we did all our warm-ups and stuff together. So it was kind of cool to have someone there to kind of help me with the timing of everything, because there was 80 lifters at this meet. There's a warm-up room with like enough equipment for like 40 lifters or something. So
if that, yeah,
it was just like crazy. You got people like warming up out of turn and stuff like that, which would have hurt it. Like if it would have just been the next flight warming up, I think it would have been plenty of equipment. But you got people who want to warm up for an hour before a lift. You got people who want to warm up for half an hour. So it kind of gets a little like cluttered back there.
Yeah, no, that's really cute though that you made a best friend.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good experience, and I'll probably see him at the Michigan State meet. That's my next stop.
Next endeavor, Michigan State. When's this?
December 7th. So
December 7th.
Yep, I'm gonna run a 10-ish week off-season program, and then I'll run a 12-week peak leading up into that. So
okay, that's quite different than the 6-week.
Yeah, so
you did prior.
I'll be able to take like 10-ish weeks, do like a deload in the middle, and then take a full 12-week prep. So I only took 6, which I don't feel was that bad. Because I don't, you reach a point where you're going to get burnt out if you're training heavy consistently, but the programming is pretty conservative. So I wasn't necessarily reaching that often in my program where I would be struggling like really hard with reps and stuff like that. So that's kind of just the way Ben Pollack structures his programs, which I kind of prefer. Being a drug-free lifter and being kind of a novice, I'm not in this to try to ramp my numbers up in 2 weeks and then just crash hard. Like I want this to be like a steady gain. So I'm happy with the conservative programming. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but
no, it's the long game we're here for.
Yeah.
Progressive overload.
You're going to put up better numbers if you can progress for 10 years than if you can progress for 3 and then burn out. So
oh, totally.
That's where I'm at. And
so what is your main goals for this next one? Going into your second meet, you're going to be, I'm assuming, hoping to hit a higher number.
Yeah.
And continue to place very high in the competition.
Yeah, honestly, I'm still kind of getting a feel for what I would like my numbers to be. My deadlift technique is much improved, so Definitely looking to hit over 6, which was something I thought I was going to be able to do easily at this competition,
Right.
but just didn't happen. So definitely looking to hit over 6 on deadlift. How much will be determined by how the next 20 weeks go. But
Yeah. I mean, hitting over 6 at a competition is also very different than going into the gym and having a deadlift day and hitting 6 there.
yeah,
Because your CNS, by the time you hit deadlift, by the time you're at your second to third lift, like, your CNS has to be shot.
yeah, you're definitely kind of riding on fumes at that point because you have the whole meet ahead of it, basically. You know,
Right.
you're hitting those other 2 lifts.
It's a full day thing.
Right,
Like,
and you got to time your food intake. You got to time, try to get enough water throughout the day, but you don't want to be bloated at the same time. So that's definitely something I can improve on. But
how do you think your food intake was on this go around?
I don't think it was too bad. I was kind of bordering on the weight, like the upper edge of the weight division. So I didn't eat much that morning. I didn't eat anything before I weighed in, but I brought breakfast with me, so I thought that was okay. I didn't feel. I mean, squats weren't the best, so I obviously was prepared for that. But overall, I don't think it was too bad. I probably would have eaten stuff that was a little bit different, maybe a little lighter. But
Yeah. So like, what are you gonna do this next time? What are things someone should eat while they're at a competition?
I mean, you see a lot of people eating, like, some guys eat like candy, stuff like that. I don't know if that's for me. If I want something quick digesting, I'll probably go with more like white rice and stuff like that, and maybe some chicken. I had beef. Somebody was telling me there that that's digests too slow, so maybe change that up a little bit. Mix some Gatorade in there, try to keep my electrolyte levels up. But besides that, and then maybe time my caffeine intake a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
So
Were you taking like pre throughout the whole day?
Yeah, I was doing about. I would take about a third of a scoop before each like lift. So
Okay.
just knowing like how much time I'd have before lifts and stuff like that, I could probably time that better, and then peak my energy at the right time.
Right.
Because you got to conserve a lot because it's a long day.
It was honestly, I was so surprised how long it was. Like, it started at like 8, 9? 9.
Lifting started at 9, and we were wrapping up by about 4:30 with like awards and everything. But it actually went a lot faster. I've heard stories of meets that start at 9 a.m. and go till like after midnight.
Yeah.
So
What?
that's
crazy.
That'd be a nightmare. But luckily ours wasn't like that. So
Yeah, I wasn't expecting like the lifting meet to be that long. I know bodybuilding competitions, like you have the pre-judging, and then you have like in the morning, early afternoon, then you have an evening show, and so like those guys really have to like be on their game all day long, just squeezing, and like that's just so grueling.
yeah,
Like they're the ones that are like these skinny, super ripped, not skinny, but super ripped like individuals. They're out back just like cramming and smashing those Reese's and stuff like that. And you're just like,
I definitely have like a newfound respect for people who can put up the numbers. Like if they can translate their training numbers to a meet, it's pretty impressive to see that actually happen. And a lot of people say, oh well, I can lift that much in the gym or whatever, but it's a lot different when you go to a meet and you're not using a deadlift bar, and you can't use straps for deadlift and stuff like that. Like, it's just the little things. Like, is your grip strength going to be there still? And it's all how much can you carry over from your training. So.
right. Well, thanks for sharing about your lift. I know I was super proud of you that day, but here at the podcast, here at the Mostly Lifting Stuff Podcast Studios, we're all about it. We're super proud of you, man. Getting first place in that junior division.
Yeah,
Even
that
though
was.
you're the
I was a
only
little
one.
surprised by
But
that. Well,
first place is first place.
So the first place in the junior in my division, that was against nobody else. But actually, was I won male junior lifter of the meet. So that was what the trophy was. That was because I won the whole junior division across all weight classes for men. So
How do they score that?
So I don't know exactly what the system's called. I don't think they have a system. It's called like IPF points. So USAPL is like part of the IPF, which is the International Powerlifting Federation, and they have a system where you can put in the numbers for a certain, like the lifts for a certain person at a certain body weight, and it'll put out like a score. So they basically do that so they can regulate across all the weight classes, and that way they can see, all right, who actually, because they could just do it as a ratio to body weight, but that's actually favors the smaller lifters.
Right.
Because it's like, if you imagine somebody that's 200 pounds, it'd be a lot more impressive for them to lift 3 times their body weight on deadlift than it would be for someone who's 120. So,
except for that one dude, your best friend, your the boyfriend you made there that walked you through and held your hand all day. He did 3 times his body weight practically on squat. That was crazy.
It was like 2.6 or something probably, but still crazy.
Rounds up to 3.
He
I mean, that's 5th grade math right there.
Yeah. So he actually won. He actually was the male lifter of the meet. So I was kind of in a loaded weight class, honestly. Even though there wasn't that many people, it was still like, we won junior lifter of the meet and men's overall lifter of the meet. So those are kind of the 2 big ones, that go across the weight classes. So
and it's your first meet too. That's just insane that you scored that well. You did that well. You put up those numbers.
Yeah. So hopefully
at this stage of your career, because that's what it is now. It's a career.
It's a career, yeah.
You're a professional fitnesser. That's what you are.
I need to change my Instagram profile to reflect I'm a powerlifter, even though I've done 1 meet. So got to put in my numbers and stuff. I'm gonna sell online coaching now.
$10,000.
I will regurgitate the programs that I use to you.
Yeah, all the free information that we get from other people that you also have access to, we're also just gonna sell that right to you. Like we'll cut out the middleman, and we'll actually be the middleman. We're actually we're adding the middleman. We're not cutting anything out. All we're doing is adding the middleman and adding money to our bank accounts. So
that's the plan. Yeah,
master class shops coming soon.
Noah's just gonna chop up the programming he got, maybe rearrange the days or something, and sell that.
Yeah. Except for I don't lift heavy weight, so if that's what you're into, I'm your guy. Like if you're trying to do a 12-week program and your lifts not go up at all, he'll let me know because I know how to do that because I have great experience.
Yeah. Or you could just cut weight and then your lifts won't.
Yeah, or just be in a caloric deficit for all of eternity and feel like shit every day.
Noah's in a deficit for the last 3 months, so that's what.
I just got out of it though, and I feel incredible. As you guys can't tell, but my kitchen is usually pretty clean. But right now it is filthy because I've been cooking all of the food, just all of it. So
finally eating.
I'm a happy boy.
That's what's important. Eating.
Yeah, balances. Having different seasons of your year. How you want your. I mean, I always think about where I want to be in a year, physique wise, but also strength wise. So it's like how I map out how I want to get there, and so with that, you're gonna have different seasons of just like you're gonna have like a program, then you're gonna have a deload for a reason, and then you're gonna have your 12-week program to then hit your peak at the end of it. So I kind of always think about that, but more like a not so much lifting weights side of it, more physique side of it, I guess.
Yeah, and that's important. It's important to know what you are expecting of yourself and have solid expectations. Don't set goals that you're just gonna be unable to reach, and then you're just gonna be disappointed with yourself and get discouraged. Like, it's good to have some like reach goals that but you have to consider a decent amount of time to get to that point. Like, I have a reach goal where like I'd like to deadlift 700 pounds. Am I gonna do it in this year? No. Unless something crazy happens.
Start.
I don't have that expectation in my head where it's like it's that or bust. Like, obviously that goal is in my mind, but I have a lot of steps I have to take before then. So that's what you have to focus on.
Right, because 700 isn't realistic and it's not obtainable. But if you make realistic and obtainable changes today and hit those, that makes the next step a little bit more realistic and attainable. And soon enough, that next step will be 700.
Right. So
it's the long game. So we're talking about
it's the long game.
Progressive overload, people. Come on. No, but thank you for sharing about your meet. Seriously, it was so cool being there and watching that all unfold for you.
Yeah, the energy was cool. I didn't really take much of it in just because how I am. Like, I try to be like I try to stay more level-headed when I lift. I've gone through streaks where I've tried to be like kind of the adrenaline junkie and like get all like hyped up, but I reach a point where it's like, what do they call it?
You're stoic.
No, it's like a point of no negative returns basically.
Okay.
So it's okay for me. Being amped up to a certain point is going to help, but once I hit a certain level, I'm going to lose my cues. I'm going to be sloppy with my lifts, and it's not going to help me anymore.
I will say, I've been training with you for probably almost a year. Like, we've been just doing some lifts together, but over that time, like, I've definitely seen your progression in lifting, but also your progression in, I would say, the professionalism and the intentionality behind what you're doing each time for your lift. And so I do think you've kind of like got more level-headed, as you said, for sure over the last year. But I know your mom, Mama Bondi, was at the meet, and I sat next to her, and she had never seen Garrett in any fashion like this before. And he brought out the pneumonia, and
not pneumonia, ammonia.
Ammonia.
I'm not trying to get pneumonia.
True. Wrong one. My bad, people. But no, he brought out the smelling salts, and he sipped that stuff right in front of his mom, and his face just went crazy. His eyes turned deep red, and she genuinely was scared. She's like, "Is he okay? Like, is his health all right now?" And I was like, "Yes, he's fine. He's just getting prepared."
Yeah, and I was actually pretty calm, to be honest. Like, some people are like yelling and stuff, and I was pretty chill.
Yeah.
And we already did a shout out today, but one person that kind of like influenced me to kind of change the way I lift and be more professional is a guy named John Hack. He's a world champion powerlifter, and he is just cool as a cucumber all the time.
Yeah.
And I really think that being able to dial it up, at certain times is important, but also sticking to what you've practiced and what you have done over and over again, because that's all training is. It's practicing, and it's getting used to the weights and stuff, and getting your cues down. And you see guys that execute that perfectly, and it's because they're able to keep a level head and just go all out physically.
I'm not gonna lie, I really thought you were gonna say me, but I'll just continue to be heartbroken over here. It's fine.
No, I accidentally got Noah to buy smelling salts, so
yeah. And now I'm addicted, and I can't lift without him. So
he has like sets of 12 with them and stuff like that.
Yeah, actually though.
Well, all right. Well, thank you. This has been our little preview for season 2. Hopefully, you guys are liking the changes. If not, leave us a comment, or if you are, leave us a comment.
Yeah, positive feedback is also good feedback. We'd love to hear. We don't just want to get all the negativity, everything we're doing wrong. Tell us what we're doing right. And if we are doing something right, hit that like button. Give us a review if you're listening to us on a podcast. Whatever you fancy listening to your podcast on. Because we're out on everything pretty much, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much everywhere. So
we're all around.
If you got something to say, feel free to DM us. If you got any questions, just let us know, and we'll try to do our best to answer them.
Yeah, we're super excited. We're coming at you again every week, new episodes. Look out. And next week, you'll be hearing from Emily Kronizer. And it was a great interview, and we're excited to introduce her to you guys and to our listening, mostly listening stuff family. So,
all right,
take it easy.